Good morning, class. Today we will be talking about forgery, and that is under Section 23 of the Negotiable Instruments Law. Okay, so in general, what is forgery? What is forgery? When you say a forgery has been committed, what do you mean by that? When you say a person has forged another person's signature, or a person has forged a particular instrument or document, what do we mean by that? In general, forgery means counterfeit making or fraudulent alteration. So there is alteration, there is a change of any writing. And that may consist in the signing of another's name. So you sign on behalf of another person. Or there is alteration of an instrument in the name, in the amount, the description of the person, and your intention is to defraud. Like, for example, you are Anna. However, you signed on a particular instrument, representing yourself as Ben. So you forged the signature of Ben. So Anna here is the forger. So it was the signature of Ben who was forged by Anna. So there was fraudulent alteration. Or if the signature of Ben was not forged, but the amount in that instrument, instead of 10,000, the amount was changed to 100,000 pesos. The intent is to gain, of course. That is fraudulent, no? That's a fraudulent act. So any alteration on the amount, that is forgery. And again, class, it is done without any consent, without any knowledge of the person whose signature has been forged. So again, the intention here of the forger is to defraud persons, is to gain for his own benefit. So that is forgery. Okay, let's now go to Section 23 of the Negotiable Instruments Law. So this pertains to forgery, no? This Section 23 class only applies to forged signatures. Again, forged signatures. Or signatures made without the authority, without the consent, without the knowledge of the person whose signature purports it to be. Going back to our example, Anna and Ben. So it was the signature of Ben who was forged, and so Section 23 is applicable, no? In that particular example, because the forged signature of Ben was made without the authority of Ben. And with that signature, it seemed, or it would appear, that Ben has actually signed that particular instrument or document, but in truth and in fact, it was Anna who did it. No, it was not Ben. So there was an authorized signing of the said instrument. Okay, Section 23. When a signature is forged or made without the authority of the person whose signature it purports to be, it is wholly inoperative. When you say inoperative, no effect at all. It will not operate, no, as to that person. So that person cannot recover the money involved in that document or instrument. And no right to retain the instrument, or to give a discharge therefore, or to enforce payment thereof against any party thereto. So again, if the instrument has been forged, then it is wholly inoperative, meaning you have no right to retain the instrument because you just forged the signature of the person who really has the right over the instrument. Or you cannot enforce payment. You cannot recover payment. So can be acquired through or under such signature unless the party against whom it is sought to enforce such right is precluded from setting up the forgery or want of authority. So that is Section 23 of the NIL. Now, to appreciate this provision of law, let's have examples. Let's apply Section 23 so we can fully understand what does this provision mean. Okay, so let's have the first example. I have already given this in your assignment. Let's answer this example. Okay, class. In forgery, there are various of ways, no, by which this topic, forgery, may be asked in an examination, or in which this may be asked in your CPA board exam. So the most common way is for the examiner to establish a fact pattern where the signature of the maker is forged. Now, if the maker's signature is forged, then the maker can never be held liable on the instrument. Again, if the maker's signature is forged, the maker can never be held liable on the instrument. Dili siya managot because as to him, as to the maker, whose signature was forged, the instrument is inoperative, as I've said kaganiha, no? When we talked about Section 23. So from the point of view, class, of the law, the maker whose signature is forged is not a party to the instrument. It's as if wala siya'y kinalaman sa document or instrument, let's say a promissory note. Because again, his signature was forged without his authority, without his consent, without his knowledge. So if the maker now is not a party to the instrument, then again, he cannot be held liable. So this has the same analysis, no, with the signatures of the drawee or the acceptor or the drawer are forged. So again, if the signatures of the drawee and the signatures of the drawer are forged, then these persons, these parties, cannot be held liable on the instrument because they are innocent, na innocente. So, if naay magbuhat og note og, let's say, promissory note sa imong pangalan, but you have no idea, no knowledge about it at all, gibuhatan lang sa imong classmate para makasingil sa imuha, and the signature of yours was forged. So, since your signature was forged, since you're an innocent party to that instrument, to that promissory note, then you cannot be held liable. Dili ka pwede singlon. Wala kay pananagutan, kumbaga. Okay? So, however, class, in some instances, like here in this example now, the signatures of the maker or the drawer are genuine. They are tinuod, genuine. So, they really signed, no, that particular instrument. They really made the promissory note. And the forgery happens when the instrument falls into the hands of the forger to a third party by any illicit means. So the signature of the maker or the drawer was not forged. The signature was genuine. But the forgery now was committed by another person. Another person after the instrument has been endorsed na. Okay, so let's have this example. M makes a note payable to the order of P for 50,000 pesos. P endorses it to A. As you can see on our flow chart, no, sa drawing sa baba. So M is the maker, M. And then the note was payable to the order of P. So you draw. Next after M is P. Okay. Then P endorses it to A. So you draw another, okay, line, then A. While the note was in A's possession, napakay A ang note, F obtains possession of the notes illegally. So gikuha niya without, so since it is illegal, let's presume it is without, gikawat, pwede, without the consent, without the knowledge of A. gikuha ni F ang promissory note illegally. And then, what did F do? F forges the signature of A and endorses it to himself. Because, class, in reality, A did not really endorse the note to F. But what happened was, no, sa tinuod lang, wala jud to gi-endorse ni A kay F. There was no endorsement. But what happened here was F took possession of the note illegally without the knowledge of A. And F, iyang gi-forge ang signature ni A to make it appear that the note was endorsed by A to F. Diba? F forges the signature of A and endorses it to himself. After forging the signature of A, F endorses and delivers the note to C. Gihatag niya kay C. And si C, without any knowledge of the forgery, C thought that the signature of A was not forged, that the signature of A was genuine. Now C endorsed the note to H. Okay? As you can see, naka-color red, si F. It means that the forgery happens there kay F. So, the forgery was committed by F. So, that should have been your drawing. Kasi class, basta negotiable instruments, no? As to the endorsement, you have to draw so that it would be easier for you to understand and to answer the question. So if that would be your presentation, your drawing, no, your flow chart based on the given problem or example, now, mas klaro. Then you can now answer the question. So the question is, from whom can H recover the 50,000 pesos? Why? Then explain. So, kung kinsa siya pwede makasingil og 50,000 pesos. So, that is the question there. Okay? Okay, class. So, H here is the holder, no? The holder of the note. Nasa iyaha ang note. And remember that a holder is presumed to be a holder in due course under Section 59 if the problem is silent. Okay, again, if the problem is silent, he is considered a holder in due course. So kindly go to or refer to Section 59. We will be having another discussion sa Section 59, holder in due course. Here, let's just presume that H is a holder in due course since the problem is silent. Pag sinabing holder in due course, in good faith ka, no? You are innocent about any illegality, anomaly whatsoever as to the endorsement or as to the instrument itself, the making of the instrument, the making of the note. Okay. Now, the person whose signature is forged is not liable on the instrument. Diba? That's our rule. So here in this example, in the illustration, this person is A because it was A's signature who was forged. Remember, class, the person whose signature is forged is not liable on the instrument. And in this case, it is A because it's A's signature who was forged by F. So A here could not be liable to anyone, walay pananagutan, under the forged signature because as to A, the instrument is wholly inoperative. It cannot operate against A. It cannot be effective against A because, again, A's signature here was forged. And A had no idea that his signature was forged. And if the signature was forged, then that person cannot be held liable because, again, the instrument is totally inoperative as to that person. So, tanggal na si A. Ibig sabihin, H, no? Cannot recover 50,000 from A. Okay? H cannot recover 50,000 from A because the instrument as to A is wholly inoperative. Now, how about the persons prior to A? The persons prior to A are M and P. Notice, class, that their signatures were not forged also. The signatures of M and P are genuine in this example. Only the signature of A was forged by F. However, even if their signatures were not forged, no? The signatures of M and P were not forged, still H, the holder, cannot collect from them or cannot enforce the instrument against them. Their liability on the instrument class was cut off when the signature of A was forged. So the rule is that the parties prior to the party whose signature was forged are not liable. The reason is simple. Kasi when the endorsement was forged, prior parties ceased to be parties to the instrument in relation to persons receiving the instrument after the forgery. So remember, the person whose signature was forged cannot be held liable. So H cannot collect from A. How about the persons prior to A? Even if the signatures were not forged, M and P, these persons cannot also be held liable. Why? Because their liability class as to the instrument was cut off, naputol, by the time that the signature of A, the person na ilahanggi, the person here is A, no? The person A signature rather, that the signature of A was forged here. So they cannot be held liable. Okay? So the parties prior to the party whose signature was forged are not liable. So A cannot be held liable. Also with M and P. M and P cannot be held liable. Kaya ilahang gisundan, not gisundan, ang person na nagsunod sa ilaha, okay, si A, the signature of that person na nagsunod sa ilaha was forged. So, H cannot recover 50,000 from A and also cannot recover 50,000 from M and P. Now, notice that H obtained the instrument through the endorsement of C. Diba? Gikan kay C. Whose signature is genuine? The signature of C was genuine, class. C here is clearly an endorser. And the endorser warrants the instrument to be genuine, valid, and subsisting at the time of the endorsement. So this warranty exists even if C is totally innocent of the previous act of forgery. Therefore, H can collect from C. C can be held liable. Okay? C can be held liable. Kasi si C after na the forgery. And C being the endorser warrants the instrument to be genuine, to be valid, and to be subsisting at the time of the endorsement bisag wala kabalo si C na forgery nga nahitabo. So in other words, class, persons or parties prior sa forgery dili liable. Pero ang parties after the forgery without knowledge of the forgery liable. How about si F? Is F liable? Of course, because it was F who forged the signature of A. So H can collect from F, the forger. H can also collect from C, the endorser here. Okay? So that is for the first example. Okay, another way by which forgery may be asked is through the following fact pattern. Through this example, the drawer's signature was forged without negligence on his part. The forger made it appear that the check was made payable to his order. He then encashes the check and the Drawy Bank paid the forger. So the question is, may the drawer recover from the bank the amount debited from his account? Here the answer is yes. The drawer class can recover from the bank, because the forgery of his signature clearly shows that he is not a party to the check, and therefore it is totally inoperative as to the drawer. Remember, just like in the promissory note, pag ang signature ni maker gi-forge, so it is wholly inoperative kay maker. Here, drawer. Pag ang signature ni drawer na forge, then the check is totally inoperative as to the drawer. Further, also in this example, the bank is negligent. Why? Because the bank is charged with knowledge of the signature of its clients and should not honor a check with a forged signature of the drawer. So the fact that the bank accepted or encashed the check, the bank was negligent class, because the bank was not able to determine whether or not the drawer signature was genuine. No? It was the responsibility of the bank. Kasi dapat ang bank, upon presentment of the check, no, the bank should have done the protocols na kailangan. I-check if this is really the genuine signature of the drawer. And if it's not, then the bank may refuse to encash the check. But here, the drawer signature was forged, the bank was negligent, nagtinanga ang bangko, gidawat, and so it cannot be used against the drawer. So it's the fault of the bank. And since the drawer signature was forged, no idea about such check, then the drawer can recover from the bank. Why? Kay gi-encash man ni bank ang cheque na dapat dili i-encash, because the drawer signature there was forged. It was not authorized by the drawer. So ibalik dapat ni bank ang amount na iyahang gi-encash as to the check. Okay? Let's have another example. Here, Donato draws a check for 1 million pesos payable to the order of Pablo and drawn against ABC Bank. The check was in payment of a car bought by Donato from Pablo. Without anyone's negligence, the check fell into the hands of Fred, who forged the endorsement of Pablo, who never received the check, making it appear that it was endorsed to him. Now, Fred deposited the check in XYZ Bank, which endorsed the check for clearing. Later, the amount was credited to the account of Fred when the check was cleared. Fred withdrew the amount, closed his account, and disappeared. Question: may Pablo recover 1 million from Donato? Why? And explain. So let's draw first, no? Muna to ang drawing sa baba. The drawer here, class, is Donato. He draws a check. And the payee here is Pablo. No? Pablo. And Fred here was the forger. Fred was the forger. Then XYZ Bank here is the collecting bank. Kung asa gipa-encash ni Fred ang check. And ang drawy bank is, the drawy here is ABC Bank. Kung asa gagikan ang funds ni Donato as the drawer. So, dapat yung ana nga to ang drawing, no? So, again, Fred was the forger. Naka-red si Fred, no? Fred forged the signature of Pablo. Okay. Okay. So, let's answer this question. May Pablo recover 1 million from Donato? The answer, of course, is yes, but under the contract of sale. Kaya naman jud gibaligya, no? Not under the check. So, as to the check, class, as to the check, Pablo cannot recover from Donato. Pero, under the contract of sale, wala pa man mo sales, no? Law on sales. Under the contract of sale, maka-recover jud si Pablo because there was really a sale of the car. No? Sale of the car. The car was bought by Donato from Pablo. So, Donato is really liable to Pablo for the payment of the car. However, here in our example, let's focus on negotiable instruments. So, under the check, for 1 million pesos payable to the order of Pablo, Pablo cannot recover from Donato, although Pablo is the payee, because Pablo never came into the possession of the check. As far as the check is concerned, there is no privity of contract between Donato and Pablo. As you can see, no, kung basahon nato usab, the third sentence, without anyone's negligence, the check fell into the hands of Fred, who forged the endorsement of Pablo, who never received the check. So Pablo never received the check. After Donato signed the check, issued the check, no, payable to the order of Pablo, wala to nahatag ang check kay Pablo. Nakuha ni Fred ang check. Nakuha ni Fred. So again, under the check, Pablo cannot recover from Donato. Okay. Where a debtor draws a check in favor of his creditor as payee, no? Just like here. Kasi ang debtor dire is Donato, the creditor is Pablo. So, where a debtor draws a check in favor of his creditor as payee, but the payee, in this example, no, here, the payee, Pablo, never received the check because it illegally fell into the hands of a third person, then the payee, the creditor, has no cause of action under the check against anyone. So in other words, Pablo cannot go after Donato. Pablo cannot go after XYZ Bank, the collecting bank. And Pablo cannot go after ABC Bank, the drawy bank. Because not having received the check, he is not a holder. Remember class, ang nalang right over the instrument ang holder. Kung dili ka holder, wala ka nakadawat sa instrument, the instrument was never in your possession, then you have no right, you acquire no interest over the instrument. Okay, that's the reason here why Pablo cannot recover 1 million from Donato under the negotiable instruments law. Okay? Against anyone, cannot. Even against Fred, even against the forger. Because again, if you if you were not in the possession of the check, if you were not in the possession of any instrument, negotiable instrument, then you can never have right over it. So you cannot enforce such instrument against anyone, against the maker, against the drawer, against the drawee, against the parties to that instrument, against the forger, wala. Okay? So that's for the first question. Okay, the same example, same facts, and we have another question. If ABC Bank, the drawee, deducts the amount of the check from the account of Donato, made Donato, okay, recover from the bank even if his signature is genuine. What if the check was presented ni Fred sa XYZ Bank, and then the XYZ Bank had a check for clearing, then na-encash. After that class, ang mahitabo, si XYZ Bank, dito na siya maningil kay ABC Bank sa drawee. So, unsaon pagsingil? Dedakan ni ABC Bank ang account ni Donato sa ABC Bank. Kaya gi-transfer na dito kay XYZ Bank. Nga naman gi-transfer kay si XYZ Bank, gi-encash naman sa iyaha ang cheque. Gihatag na niya ang amount ng 1 million to Fred. So, asa kuhaon, asa maningil sa collecting bank kay drawee bank, ABC Bank in this case. Okay, here, can Donato recover from the bank? The answer, of course, is yes. ABC Bank, the drawee bank, is bound by the duty to pay strictly to the payee or to anyone authorized by the payee or the drawer. So the instructions of the drawer here involve not paying the amount to anyone else. Paying to Fred is a breach of this duty. Okay? Kasi dapat kay Pablo lang. Kasi si Pablo ang nakabutang, no? Si Pablo ang payee. So paying to Fred is a breach of this duty and payment under a forged endorsement. Forged endorsement kasi yung kay Pablo to Fred because Fred forged the instrument. Forged the signature of Pablo. So here, the payment under a forged endorsement is not payment to the drawers or to the payee's orders. So since the drawee bank, si ABC, did not pay a person entitled to receive payment, kasi ang person entitled to receive payment should have been Pablo. Or if Pablo gi-endorse to niya kay Fred, then there was no really forgery, then si Fred can be a person entitled to receive payment. But here, Fred can never be a person entitled to receive payment. Why? Because Fred just forged the signature of Pablo. Fred was the forger here. So, dili siya entitled to receive payment. And in this case, since the drawee bank, okay, paid a person, si Fred, who was not really entitled to receive payment, then the drawee bank has no right to seek reimbursement by debiting from its client's account. So, ang mahitabo, makarecover si Donato kay ABC Bank. Ipabalik katong deduction na gibuhat ni ABC Bank, ibalik to sa account ni Donato katong 1 million. No? Katong 1 million. Kasi let's just say here, gipresent na ni Fred ang cheque for payment, for encashment kay XYZ. Si XYZ, encash na po niya. Karon gansi po si XYZ kung di siya mabayaran ni drawee bank. So, naghatag si drawee og 1 million kay XYZ. Karon si drawee, asa man to niya kuha ng 1 million? Sa account ni Donato. But, here, since Fred is not the rightful person entitled to receive payment, then dili dapat mabayaran si Fred ng 1 million being the forger. So, ang sa mahitabo, negligent si ABC Bank, negligent po si XYZ Bank. Why? Wala nila na-check kung ang signature ba ni Pablo was genuine. So, they thought genuine na kulang sila sa ilahang SOP, and so si Donato can always ask for reimbursement, can always recover from the Drovey Bank. Walay sala si Donato here, no? So, he can always recover from the Drovey Bank. However, class, if si Donato negligent po, in this case, the bank, the ABC Bank can prove that Donato was negligent, in this case, in issuing the check, or Donato knew about the forgery, then Donato cannot recover from the bank. Kay kabalo man siya, negligent po siya. Okay? Wala niya gi-report ang forgery na nahitabo. If nakabalo man siya about sa forgery. Or kung wala may forgery, let's just say, ang iyahang cheque nawala. So, wala niya gi-report nga nawala ang check. So, negligent po siya, and then na-encash. So, Donato cannot use that as a defense. So, if the drawer, Donato here, is proven to be negligent also, then the Drovey Bank will not be held liable kay Donato. So, dili makarecover si Donato kay Drovey Bank ng 1 million. Third and last question. May ABC Bank, the Drovey, recover from XYZ Bank, the collecting bank? Kay di ba napa-encash na ang check sa XYZ Bank? And then, na-debit na ni ABC Bank sa account ni Donato ang 1 million. So, it was drawn against the account of Donato in ABC Bank. So, now, pwede mo maingon sa ABC Bank na, hala, XYZ, forge man din yung signature ni Pablo. Tapos, na-deduct na ba yan ako ni sa account ni Donato? Tapos, negligent man ta, kay wala man nato na check if genuine ang signature. So, mag-collect ko sa imuha og 1 million, ibalik tong 1 million kay gansi si Donato. Pwede ba? Pwede ba makakollect si ABC kay XYZ? The answer is yes. Because class, si XYZ here has become an endorser. The bank XYZ, the collecting bank, has become an endorser when it endorsed the check for clearing. So as an endorser, remember katong si C kaganiya sa promissory note, endorser siya ni H, no? Kaya liable si C. Remember? Here the same. Endorser bali si XYZ Bank ng check when it endorsed the check for clearing. Kaysa iyaha man gipa-encash ang check. So as an endorser, it warrants the instrument to be genuine, to be valid, to be subsisting at the time of endorsement, at the time that Fred endorsed the check to XYZ Bank, at the time that Fred presented the check to XYZ Bank for encashment, for payment. So, gidawat ni XYZ, gi-endorse niya for clearing. Ipa-clear pa man ang check class. Nga, after 3 days cleared, dira pa, ma-okay, then ma-encash na, no? Then, because of that, XYZ as the collecting bank cannot set up the defense of forgery against the Drovey Bank ABC. Dili pwede maingon sa XYZ, forge man tong signature, so di pud ko liable. Liable ka. Naging negligent ka because gi-endorse to nimo. Once you endorse it, you warrant the genuineness of the instrument, the due execution of the instrument. You warrant that the signatures there are genuine. Kay gi-endorse man nimo. Okay? So kung gi-endorse nimo, liable ka. And remember class, XYZ Bank, the collecting bank, was the endorser here for clearing, no? After the forgery has been made. Same with C. Katong promissory note kaganiya kay C. Diba? C endorsed and delivers the check to H after the forgery na. Kaya liable siya. Pero katong si M, si P, ug si A, before the forgery, not liable. Here, XYZ Bank is liable, and so ABC Bank can recover from XYZ Bank. XYZ being an endorser, warranting the genuineness of and the validity of the check in this case. Now, if the drawee bank also is negligent, so it cannot recover from XYZ. They are both at fault, then wala, quit silang duha. Okay? So that is class forgery.